Just want to walk around in some neutral light. I know I'm kind of wearing myself out talking about this thing, and I'm putting a lot of video out. Um, One of my biggest problems has been the aspect ratio my videos are rendering in. You probably noticed it's pretty bad. Um, I don't know how much time I have. I'm recording in 4K now. It seems to be literally the only thing on my phone that'll go with a good aspect ratio on render. So Lillian told me that the engine was knocking and the engine check engine light was flashing, and that's when we parked it because I was down here in California. She was up there in Oregon. We talked back and forth. I went up and saw her. It When I saw it, I should have taken video when I went up to visit her, but it was really bad. Of course, I've not worked on a lot of four cylinders, so it was kind of, yeah, gonna go to the scrapyard. So that was where we were. She said she had the code read and that there was a catalytic converter code in there. I think it had been stored or cleared rather. And so we came up with our proposal. We got our deal going, and so I went back up and took a U-Haul trailer and grabbed this. If you go back in some of the other videos, you can see there's been quite a bit of progress. It's unfortunate I can't kind of recapture those videos at the better aspect ratio. Charlie wants to bark. Charlie, hey, what are you barking at? So we got home. I thought it was just some pulley, so I was kind of excited. After a while of inspecting it and stuff, if you go back again, and I took it for a drive. Something that didn't appear in the earlier videos is it broke me down. Like, I couldn't even get the thing running. I went down and, oh man, that's like almost a whole video all in itself of me getting stranded with this thing about 5 miles from here without a phone. Crazy thing was, I caught Hayden coming down the road, and he picked me up, brought me here. I got my truck. I drove to AutoZone. I got the top dead center sensor. Not even that. I got like a crank position sensor, which I knew wasn't right. Basically, just a nightmare scenario. I'm kind of babbling here, but I ended up coming back to the car with the wrong sensor. By that time, the car had cooled down. On a whim, I tried to move it to a better, safer location to try to get into replacing this sensor, and it started up and acted fine. So I just drove it straight home and got it here. Abandoned my truck on the side of the road, and it's idling. This 70 plus $1,000 truck was just like left idling for about 20 minutes on the side of the road, about 5 miles away. And then Hayden got called off that night from work because that's where he was going. Long story short, so then he comes home, and I'm like, dude, you got to get me back to the truck. And so then he got me the truck. I got the truck home, blah, blah, blah. Finally went into town, got the right top dead center sensor, replaced it, which was by the timing chain underneath. It was a couple miles deep, and we just ended up needing that for the most part to get the timing to kind of square itself away. Now, I've been having some thoughts other than this EGR exhaust gas port theory that I keep seeing. Those get plugged with hard kind of carbon deposits, and then what happens is it'll tell the ECU to like just basically shut fuel to those injectors, which, hell, if all the other ones are running, that's a misfire. So that's a really strong candidate. There's a lot of other things going on here. So the death grind, of course, was a compressor pulley. We did that. We did ignition coils and spark plugs just to clean them up. The plugs were just shot. Ignition coils, I probably have wasted money on those, to be honest. But, if those are the original ones in here, or even if they're, OEM from 22 years ago, I've got some new ones in. They're running really good. Whatever, not needed though, right? So took off the air cleaner and the intake all the way down to the throttle body, kind of did a light cleaning on the throttle body and was able to kind of inspect, I guess, some of the EGR. It looked kind of clean. But of course I had sprayed a bunch of throttle body cleaner into it, so all I could see was where I'd cleaned. I didn't inspect beforehand, so that's my bad. So we've solved a ton of problems. We're back to just one issue. But the culprit could also be that this timing chain was done, I think right before it was given to Lily. And she just told me today that it kind of always ran a little off and people would make comments about it. And I'm wondering if they didn't get top dead center, if this thing needs to be retimed. She, being her first car, like, she's not totally like up on the game of what it's supposed to sound like. So, I mean, like she said, quote unquote, she just thought it was like old Civic stuff. But yeah, I just feel like there's some potential here. Actually, the more I look at this in like this nice light, like, yeah, listen, it's a flood car, right? It's got a clean title somehow, some way. Out of Oregon, current registration, '01 Civic LX with a single cam, 1.7 liter. It's got a manual transmission. It's got a little smacky do here on these doors. I'm going to put coilovers and drop it. I'm going to scrape that damn EGR plate and get this thing running really good. I'm going to put an intake on it. They're like $50. That'll like, clean up the engine bay really good. You'll be able to keep an eye on things more. Charlie, he's being dumb. Anyways, had to deal with Charlie there. So we've just done a ton of stuff. That AC compressor and alternator and power steering, getting that serpentine belt kind of messed with was really, really difficult. All right, that's about enough. My dog's losing his cool over here. Peace out, y'all.